Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese and I'm the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am meeting on Tharawal country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording. Today, change is upon us. I just wanted to take a moment in April 2026, which is helpful to contextualize what's going on at the moment, is that change isn't coming, it's here. And just similar a little bit to COVID times where things felt very out of everyone's control. I think we're at this same wave of change where economic forces, because of the conflict in Iran and the knock-on effect because of the Strait of Hormuz, and many people can look into this, of course, if you're listening to this episode in the future, you'll probably know a lot more about it. But certainly to contextualize that this is definitely another huge wave of change. That coupled with the constant wave of AI change, and there are just so many different reflection points we can have about the world at the moment. But one of the key things I did want to highlight to you is the need at this time to really keep centered and focus on what you can control, because there's so much that we can't. And I think that's a really key message I wanted to get across in this episode, is it will be easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel anxious. The cost of living continues to rise because even the fundamentals such as fuel for the car to get to work, all of these things are triggering the need to assess, reassess personal priorities, ensure that your family are taken care of. So much has happened over the last couple of years around the pressure, the economic pressure that everyone is under. And this sadly is a time, and I want to acknowledge that those who are living paycheck to paycheck, this is really tough. And within your own organization, within your teams, it is really important to check in on how people are going. There are going to be behaviors, no doubt, that are going to bubble to the surface as a result of this pressure on the home front, which will then flow into work without doubt. And important that empathy is exercised at all times during times like this. It can be very easy for those who are in a very comfortable financial position to dismiss the level of stress, anxiety, and difficulty that those who aren't in that comfortable position will experience. And a lot of that also happened during COVID times. The things that we see during times like this is an increase in domestic violence in the home front because of the stress and pressure that's happening, and the pressure in family systems more broadly. There's definitely a possibility that there might be more theft in the workplace as a result of, again, the economic pressures and people feeling like there's no other way out. So much can happen, and these are the things that you need to be considerate of if you're a leader of a team, If you're looking to influence for change at this point in time, so you have things that you need to introduce in your organization or there's change taking place, a little bit more consideration in regards to impact on teams needs to be considered and communicated strongly. Seeing the signs in the organisation around where change might be derailed because of greater need, the need to reprioritise, the need to stop, start and continue for projects because of these economic pressures. Any investment in projects or any investment will be reinterrogated eventually. And so it's important to consider that. Think about momentum in your space. Is there momentum? Does it look like it could be something that might be parked for now? These are the things to be aware of. Listening for languaging in your organisation. From your CEO, your own direct leader, that's also important too, because with times like this, there's some sectors which will benefit, some which will struggle. And being part of a change maker in an organisation is to be aware of the signs around slowdown or speed up in other areas, or absolute pivots that might happen as a result of this. I know personally we have looked at, over the last month and a bit, our own energy consumption and looking to purchase an electric vehicle, which we've been on the fence about for quite a while, but then decided that this was the trigger for that. So as I mentioned, some sectors will increase in their popularity, some organisations will benefit from this, and then others will struggle as a result of this. We've also looking to invest in a solar battery, even though we have solar. And again, this is all part of future-proofing. And so anyone kind of sitting on the fence around energy consumption, it's a catalyst for making these decisions. And so definitely when looking at renewables and cleaner energy, this can really push that sector along, which I think is fantastic, and especially from the environmental perspective as well. So what can you do? A couple of things I wanted to cover off for you to consider, not just for yourself, but for your team. And the first thing is check-ins and connection. People through these times need connection. They need care. They need someone to care. And in the workplace. Now, I talk a lot about this in other episodes of ensuring that you can support people, but don't become what I call an agony aunt. Don't become the person who supports beyond a reasonable threshold so that it's to the detriment of yourself. You need to have strong boundaries during this time, but you can still be empathetic and you can still care for people, and you can do check-ins to see how people are going. I think it's very relevant. It's critical because some behaviours that you might observe or some things that might be taking longer than they normally would could be because the person is dealing with a lot in their personal situation. And I've had the instance where I've been frustrated from a project perspective that one of my team members wasn't delivering, and when I went in to have a really serious performance conversation, when I said, "How are you?" the person really divulged where they were at, and they had so much on their plate personally, and it made me feel silly that for what I was doing was driving them or trying to get them to do some work when obviously their head was not there because they had so much going on personally. And even that ability to decompress and to support someone to decompress and share meant that we could then work out how things could work around timelines, capacity, and that person really changed from that time where they were struggling and just spinning their wheels to feeling supported, and ironically got more done. And so that is the benefit of empathy. Like in that moment, I had such a big lesson as a leader to not assume that you know what's going on in someone's life, and to, rather than just talk about the work, give the person the space by checking in to see if they want to share anything else. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes it takes a while for someone to trust you, to think you're not going to throw it back in their face. And then once that trust is built, then really you can have such a healthy, very productive work relationship where the person can share when they're struggling a bit. You can support them rather than getting to a situation where someone's leaving and you're saying to them, if I had have known, we could have worked together on it. But it's because you never gave the space to have the conversation. More than ever, it's important to check in. Sometimes it's not necessarily checking in with people in your team. There might be peers across other teams who you might want to take for coffee or just go and have a chat. And maybe it's for yourself that you can decompress a bit. Choose who you confide in. Ensure that you're not necessarily confiding in people who might use the information to their own benefit. It's an unfortunate circumstance, but it can happen. I've had that happen to me as well. And so you really need to be discerning, but know your people, find your people, connect with them more than ever. The other thing that I mentioned was see the signs. So listen to language that's happening in the organisation, understand the financial performance of your organisation, ask about the impacts and the broader impacts of what's happening to see if anyone can communicate how they might see it might flow on either in a positive way or a negative way for the organisation. Is just good to know. And then also understand the pieces of work which might slow down as a result of deprioritisation, because perhaps the investment's too big at this point in time. So it's good to know so that you can prepare to go on to another piece of work, or it might be that you might have to look outside your organisation. Who knows? But definitely be aware and have your spidey senses out around the signs in your organisation, around how it's going with all of these changes. The other one is how you self-manage through this time. How you can recognise if you're feeling overly anxious, when you can recognise that perhaps you're stressed about what's happening, whether it be in the work situation or the personal situation, and focusing on what you can control, which sometimes can be just focusing on your health, focusing on the 3 or 4 things that you can get done today and not all of the uncertainty that's happening. Be conscious of your consumption of social media or even media during this time, and making sure that you're not overwhelmed by the negative news that can sometimes play. News cycles are so negative. It's just astounding how negative they are, and that can really send you into a spiral. So if you find yourself almost obsessing over the news, the negativity, even in your social media feed, it is worth taking a self-imposed break from just exposure so that you can center yourself, just be present to your situation every day, one day at a time, to help regain some of your personal power. Because it is good to be connected. However, you also need to, once again, when we talk about boundaries, is be discerning about what you allow to filter through to you and to your time, where you're investing your time, which isn't beneficial if it's in negative things around you. Listen to songs, help your body move, go for walks. Those type of things can really just help get your energy moving if you're finding it all a bit overwhelming. And take care of yourself. Think about the food that you're consuming. Think about whether you're getting enough sleep. These are the things that are important. They're foundational for everyone. And it can sometimes feel like you're taking care of everyone around you. And when you feel like you're spinning into that cycle, is take time to refocus on yourself. You have to consciously do that and put a boundary around yourself to allow yourself to do that. that is when you are going to once again get centered, get grounded, and have a different approach and have a better approach and healthier approach to the change and healthier response to the change that you might be working on or that you might be receiving as part of this somewhat volatile time in our lives. So I did want to acknowledge about the change that's happening, about the overwhelming wave of change, and about everything that's happening that seems to be now starting to really get momentum, and thinking and centering again back to what you can do today, how you can get to your breath, center yourself, and deal with the one or two things that you know that you can do and can control, just so you can feel that sense of completion and that sense of forward movement for yourself. I hope this helps, because I know this is a tough time for everyone. I know that some people are having it more easy than others. I am conscious around the separation conversation that can happen, and I really encourage you to always have inclusive conversations, connected conversations, but ensure that you have your boundaries in those conversations. And more than ever, it's important to always stand for others who can't stand for themselves, and be sure just to take care of each other in a healthy, productive way. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening today. And I hope that some of the tools or things that I've mentioned today help you in navigating this somewhat volatile time, and know that it's just a period of time. Things will eventually settle. If you want to know about change, come to my virtualchangemajor.com. If you want to continue the conversation, you can certainly message me on LinkedIn, Insta, Facebook. I'm on those platforms. We always need to focus on hope, inclusion, and connection, because that is when we are at our best. And we will chat again next week.